Hey everyone, welcome back to another Blast from the Past G.I. Joe Classified Edition. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Cobra Island Major Bludd. This is one of the premier figures, I would say, of the first few waves. One of the better head sculpts, one of the better overall designs, and it's pretty solid group of accessories, although his rockets and the backpack don't get along very well. I will show later. But this is another Cobra Island. We're back to that. So the Cobra logo in the background of the box goes away in exchange for the Terradrome with launching Firebat art. Also, being Cobra Island, it was a Target exclusive, so it wasn't easy for a lot of people to get. The pandemic was in full swing by this point, so there were delays with shipping, and just a lot of places had difficulty keeping things in stock, or, even getting them into the country in the first place. But for those who were lucky enough to get Major Bludd, he is definitely one of the best figures in the line. Even now, with all the advancements they've made and their design process, and really getting into the flow of things more. However, saying that, I will say that Major Bludd is definitely a good candidate for a retro release. Not based on anything regarding his head. His head is perfect. If they did a retro release and kept the same head sculpt, I would be happy with that. But I think he's on the pinned buck, so I think replacing that with a pinless joint buck would be better. And that would be something they could look at for a retro line. Plus, he's not an exact one-for-one recreation of the original a real American hero figure from the 80s, so there are some people who would like that look for the retro, and I love this look, honestly. I like the update. This is one of the few characters where they updated it and he looks really good. Like, Destro looks a lot like his original look, and Cobra Commander is not quite that good. But Bludd, I think they did really well with the updates. So, getting into the box, it's the standard Cobra Island design. As usual, there's the Cobra Island logo, special missions. Some Major Bludd artwork right there on the front. Classified series Major Bludd. He is number 27 in the line. There's the Cobra logo there. Open window for light. 27. His file card information. And there's another picture of Bludd on the side, sporting that nice mohawk. Got the legalese on the bottom. Legalese on the back. And here we have the Cobra Island map again. And they've got stuff we've already seen before highlighted. I don't think we're going to see anything new as far as the Cobra Island stuff now. They pretty much highlighted every area of the map with the previous figures. So Major Bludd doesn't show us anything new in that regard. So let's take a look at the figure, because, like I said, he is one of the best, if not the best, of the first couple years of the line. And so, yeah, you can see right there from the head sculpt. Very, very well done head sculpt. Very menacing looking figure. He's got 5 o'clock shadow around his jawline there, you can see. Piercing right eye and a completely missing left eye, of course. some nice scarring down the side of his face there, leading up to his eye, both from the top of his head and from lower down where his cheek is. Got a sneer on his face and a well-done mustache. He's got that little white fleck of color in his hair there, and leading to his mohawk. But yeah, this is definitely a fantastic head sculpt. I would definitely put this up there even today as one of the best in the line. As you can see, his right arm is completely cybernetic. It's got the M there for Mars, the corporation that Destro runs. His other arm is a normal human arm. He's got this overlay vest here that's on pretty tight, but it's got a good cut in the back there so you can get access to the articulation. He also has this overlay belt, but it is connected directly to the holster, which means the only way you're going to be able to take it off is if you cut it off or pop this leg off. Then you can slide the holster off over the leg and then slide the belt down off to the other leg. So if you want to get rid of that, that's probably your best bet if you wanted to take off the belt and the holster without cutting it off. You got to pop the leg off, and then you can pull the leg off out through the loop here, and then just slide the belt down over the other leg. He's got pretty good looking designed boots, kind of like a cowboy boot type of feel. I think he's the only figure in the line that used this style of boot so far. I don't think they've reused this for anyone else. The Crimson Guard boots look similar in that they've got those buckles on the side there, but I don't think they're the exact same sculpt. I think they're slightly different. And they definitely don't have the steel toe in the front. This is the same overlay glued on to the forearm as you get with the Cobra Soldiers, so that's not different. That's not anything new. And yeah, it is still glued on here, so you can't remove that unless you melt the glue first. This side, it's just all cybernetic. It's all one, well, not one sculpt, but pieces of different sculpts, but no overlays, basically. This has a hinge on it. It can move, but it's not an overlay. It's connected into the shoulder joint, essentially. So you could probably pop it off if you wanted. Yeah, you can. So it is removable. I never actually tried that before. That would have been funny if I had just broken the figure right in front of everybody watching this video. Considering that he's one of the more expensive ones to get in the aftermarket. But he's well worth it. If you can pick him up for even like 50 quid, I would go for it. Although I don't think he's actually that much anymore. I think enough people have gotten him that the demand for him has gone down, but it's still up for figures like Arctic Mission Storm Shadow and Master of Disguise Zartan, so those are still pretty expensive. So, taking a look at the articulation now. You can look up about that high. You can almost bury his chin. In fact, I think he could bury it if the armor didn't get in the way. So yeah, he can bury it for all intents and purposes. He gets a little less than 90 on his left arm. However, His right arm gives you a little bit more than 90, so you got that kind of a off-balance T-pose there. And like I showed before, this can hinge around, so you can get it to hinge out of the way, and you can, you know, go back to the head. I forgot to do exorcist spin. Yeah, he can do that easily enough, and of course he got some tilt there. He does not have, oh yeah, he does. He does have a bicep cut on both arms. He does have double joints on both arms. See, most figures, I just do one arm because they're both the same, but since both of his arms are different, I gotta show both arms so everybody can see. Double joints, but they are pinned, even on the robotic arm, which is weird. It's weird that they went with pins here, but I guess it makes more sense here because you could just say that they're part of the robot design, that those are bolts in the actual design of the arm itself, rather than pins in a toy. So even though, like, they didn't reuse this for anyone else, so they didn't have to put pins in it, because they didn't, like, this arm is probably reused from the Cobra Trooper, but this is completely new sculpt for him, so they put pins in it anyway. They didn't have to do that, but at least it makes more sense in a robotic arm than it does in a normal arm. But he does have the horizontal hinge on his right hand, but he has the vertical hinge on the left. You don't get a lot of movement out of it though, because that wrist is really thick there, so the peg doesn't get to slide down too far, unfortunately. I did show the ab crunch before, you can see in the back there. It does help him get a little bit more than most people with overlay vests. He can't bend forward all that much, but he can bend back like all the way. Yeah, he does have some movement at his hip, or at his waist rather. He's got a little bit of tilt going on there. Always got the drop down hips with the Joes. I like that. It gives you more range of movement. You can do the Van Damme. Although he can get his left leg out further. The right leg is kind of hampered by the straps from the overlay there. He can kick out about that far. Kick out back about that far. Not too much. Thigh cut. Double jointed pinned legs. He's got the boot cut. And he can hinge his foot back that far. You can put it forward that far. He's got a rocker. And pegs holes on the bottom. Peg holes. It's just overall fantastic figure. I really like this figure. I'm glad I managed to get a hold of him. I got into the line later. Like, I didn't get my first figure until December of 2021. So the line was almost 2 years old by that point. And I missed out on all the first few waves, but aside from a couple figures, I didn't really have trouble getting anyone. He was actually one of the easier ones I was able to find. I got him on eBay, but still was able to get him pretty easily. For me, the toughest ones to get were the Viper and the Cobra Island Trooper. Those I had to play a little bit of a waiting game because their prices were high when I was first looking for them. Okay, so on to accessories. As, of course, if anyone who knows Major Bludd knows, he comes with a helmet. This basically is one of those old school style helmets. Kind of makes him look like one of those French soldiers from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. He also comes with this collection of dog tags taken from his victims, people he's killed. Now, in the comics, people who've read that know that he is the one who's responsible for the murder of General Flagg, the original commanding officer of G.I. Joe before Hawk took over. And now Flagg's dog tags are not part of this collection because at the end of that issue, Doc held them out to Hawk to show that General Flagg had died. So Bludd didn't have time to strip him of his dog tags when he was trying to escape from the pit during the attack where he killed him, where he shot and killed him. But he does have dog tags from other victims on there. So Major Bludd is definitely not one to be messed with, basically. He also comes with this rocket gun, and this is similar to the gun that he came with originally. And you can see there's a peg hole here, and that's because he comes with 2 of these rockets. Just nondescript black plastic, but you can peg the rocket into the end of the gun, and now you can fire rockets at people. Now, I haven't checked to see if the peg hole is the same size as the tabs for the blast effects. I imagine it is. So you could probably just stick blast effects on there if you just want to use it as a regular gun instead of a rocket gun. He also comes with this backpack. Just nondescript black plastic. Got some detail in there, but hard to see. Mostly just like screws and whatnot. Of course, that goes into his back pretty easily, I say. And then it starts giving me trouble. And he's got a hole on the side of the backpack, and you can see a tab on the rocket gun. So that can just slide into there, slot in there to... Now, this is the part of Major Bludd that I dislike, and a lot of other people did too. These rockets are supposed to slot into the backpack here, but the grooves in the backpack aren't deep enough. So the rockets are only like kind of in there, but they're really loose. They seem like they won't come out. If you put them in correctly, they won't fall out because of gravity. But if you bump sometimes they will fall out because of gravity. But if you bump the figure, like if you're trying to move them into a different position on your shelf or something, or you're trying to get them into another pose, you're probably better off taking the backpack off before you do any kind of just messing around with the figure. It's a shame. All they really needed to do was just dig those grooves a little deeper, and then the rockets would have just snapped into place. But as you can see, I'm not having a good... this one's staying in pretty well, but this one keeps falling out, so... But yeah, that's the only drawback I can see for this Major Bludd figure. He's otherwise a 10 out of 10 figure. Just absolutely fantastic figure. But the rocket pack is really, really annoying. And I really hope they either eliminate it entirely in a retro figure or fix it so it doesn't behave like this anymore. Lastly, he's got this revolver, which is kind of cool. It's like a futuristic version of a 6-shooter. You can see it's got nice paint on the barrel there. Or not the barrel, but the chamber for the bullets. Although it is futuristic, so it's got that same ending some of the other guns, laser guns, have. So it fires lasers, even though it looks like a Western revolver, something you'd see in the Clint Eastwood movie. Yeah, it's got an elongated barrel too, probably due to the lasers. But this slides nicely into his holster. And I'm not going to put his rocket pack back on because I don't want rockets falling off. I'll just leave it as is. And there you have Major Bludd. Sebastian Bludd. Mercenary from either Australia or New Zealand. Can't ever remember which one it is. I think he's from Australia. Because I know some of the Dreadnoks are from Australia as well. I think one of them might be from New Zealand, one of the Dreadnoks, but the rest are all from Australia. Except for Buzzer, he's from England. And so yeah, he's a mercenary and a bad poet, apparently. Apparently he writes bad poetry. That was on his original file card, I believe, back in the day. But he's been a major figure in Cobra since the beginning, pretty much. I think he was released in the 83 or 84 wave. And he's been a huge part of not only the cartoon and the comics, but the toy line. Everything ever since. I don't think they put him in the movies. I don't think he was in any of the movies that they've made thus far. Which is okay with me because the movies are kind of terrible. So they could spare Blood from the fate of having to be in one of those movies, and that's a good thing. But just checking really quick to see what year he came out in the original. Yep, 1983 he came out. So he was part of the second series after the OG 13 wave of 82, the original figures of 1982. He was part of the next wave after that, so he's one of the originals, one of the OGs. And like I said before, earlier in the video, if you get a chance to get him at a reasonable price, I'm not telling you to go out there and spend hundreds of pounds on him, but if you can get him for like 50 or less, that's a good deal in my opinion. Or you could just wait, because they'll probably do a retro, I imagine, at some point. So you could wait for that. But if you're impatient, you can grab them now. Next week, we'll be taking a look at Heavy Artillery Roadblock. This will be the second Roadblock figure I reviewed, but the first classified one because I didn't get either of the other two releases. He's had this would be his third release, well, fourth technically if you count the variant. His initial release, he had the gold shin guards, and then they had a variant with darker shin guards. And then they released a Cobra Island version of him, which looked more like Heavy Duty than Roadblock to a lot of people. I skipped those, and I went right for Heavy Artillery Roadblock, because he looked more like the version 1. He looks similar to the Mezco one that I reviewed earlier. So, next week we'll be taking a look at him. And if you saw my Mezco Roadblock review, you'll have already seen that figure, because I did a comparison shot. But yeah, he's one of the bigger figures in the line, and one of the more popular figures for Joe fans, I think. So yeah, he's next week. I don't know what else I'm going to be reviewing later. I haven't gotten any new stuff in. I might do another Blast from the Past, or I might start working on the NECA D&D figures, because I still haven't unboxed my Zarek and Strongheart. So I might do a series of all four of them. I'll do Grim Sword, War Duke, Zarek, and Strongheart. So yeah, that's probably what I'll do. So Tuesday I'll probably have one of those I'll probably have Grimsword up on Tuesday. And then Wardruk on Friday. Heavy Artillery Roadblock on Sunday. Zarok on next Tuesday. And then Strongheart a week from Friday. So comment down below, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.